Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to Readings with Rachel. I'm Rachel. I'm so glad you're here. On this channel, we do intuitive tarot readings and try to read for the energies in the week ahead and see what's coming up. These readings are timeless, so if this found you, trust that you found it for a reason, and just believe that wherever you're at on your journey, that this will hopefully provide clarity and some intuitive insight on your journey ahead. All right, let's see what the cards have to say today. I have already prepped and cleansed my space. I've cleansed myself. I apologize. I definitely am recovering from a bit of a cold, so you can probably hear it a little bit in my voice. I might be clearing it. But either way, there's a lot going on this week, and it's been a pretty heavy week. So I wanted to come on and just support my family and my friends during this pretty intensely dark first week of January, which is when I'm recording this. So I welcome, if it's safe for you, to place a hand on your heart. We're going to take a couple of deep breaths in together just to ground and to set our intentions for this reading ahead. Allow us to be a clear channel and to accept the messages that are coming through. All right, so just begin to soften your shoulders. Begin to be aware of your breath, and I will ask us to take 3 collective breaths together. Let's go in and out, and in and out. One more time, in and out. Taking a step aside. Thank you, Spirit, for presiding over this reading. May we have eyes to see and ears to hear the wisdom and messages in these cards today. All right, begin. Oh, all right, Spirit. It's been quite a week. This week was the anniversary. I live in Southern California, so this week was the anniversary of the fires that happened a couple miles away from our home, and I've had quite a few friends who have experienced some pretty deep loss and are grieving again in the remembrance of this. A couple of them lost their homes, businesses, and all of that. So it's been a heavy start to the year. There's been a lot of grief. There's been a lot of remembrance of that grief. So I want to honor that today and see what messages Spirit has to say for us during this time. Sorry, we have our first card. So energies of the week ahead. Oh, 2 of Cups. Interesting. It's about relationships. So the 2 of Cups is really about how we partner with ourselves first and with others next. Cups, again, speak to the element of water. So our emotional, it's very much geared towards our intuition, our emotions, how we're feeling about the situations around us. This card is really about relationships at its core. You can see the beautiful hands intertwined, the energies of the 2 bowls. And just the sharing that happens between those kinds of energies. It's interesting, this week also is when the Venus and the Mars Cazimi happened with the Sun in Capricorn. And those are 2 of, they're astrologically, they're Mars and Venus are the lovers, right? So this card speaks to that to me and is coming up. So it's this reset that's happening for us. And so, this energy can come out very beautiful, but it can also come out kind of on the flip side and the shadow side, a little bit violent as well. So you might have in this past week, and this is going to be playing out in the next couple of days. And ultimately for Mars, he has a 2-year process. So this last energy happened November of 2023. And then for Venus, her star point that just got reset happens every 4 years. So where this last was happening. So you can look to that same kind of patterning. And so for them to restart together in this beautiful sense, the energy of that really speaks to new opportunities, new emotional kind of relationships that are coming into play here that provide us a bit more structure, that provide us in Capricorn, right? So Capricorn is about structure and how we use our emotions, that when we look at this, it's like we must feel our way through it. However, the relationships that we have must provide us with this newfound sense of security to a certain extent, but what it must resonate with us. Whereas before, we might have been with someone where it was just kind of an okay fit. Now we're like, okay, all of this has to fit better. We have to align better. And the Two of Cups really speaks to that alignment happening, the partnership that happens. In the twos, right? It's a very new, it's a minor arcana card, and it's a young kind of energy, right? So it's this newness of a relationship that's being brought into the light. So maybe this week ahead, you're going to find that, clarifying for this, you're going to find that there's an aspect of the relationships in your life that are kind of being redefined, being relooked at, being reborn on a certain sense, that the next 2 to 4 years, the storyline is going to be playing out a little differently than it has in the past. And that's a good thing, because you're older, you're wiser, you have different experiences now, and the same lessons don't have to keep repeating themselves. So clarifying for this card, Four of Cups. Interesting. So another cup card, another younger kind of energy, but in the duality of the twos, we also have what comes in the more stable numerology of the four. So when we're looking at the Four of Cups, to me, this card is about, as we are reevaluating our relationships and stuff like that, this is like the grass is greener on the other side, right? This energy of, I have more than what I know what to do with, or I have more work than I can do, or I have, this emotional need to kind of reevaluate our situation sometimes. And when the Four of Cups shows up, it's like we must be in gratitude first for the relationships and the things that we have, right? She's sitting here, she's what seems to be a little forlorn and is really kind of maybe not entirely grateful or happy with her situation, but realizing in this sense that, the cups on the side are empty, but she does have a full one if she were to just look down and see it. And so sometimes we're constantly looking at others in comparison and not really able to appreciate all of the layers and intricacies of the things that are already around us. So in our relationships and in our partnerships with people, in our work environments, in our emotional home environments, remaining in the sense of gratitude for the things that we have, our emotions, feeling through them, and allowing ourselves to be okay with disappointment, to be okay with the things that we don't have, because there's a reason for that. The loss that we've gone through, there's a reason for that. It's changing us emotionally inside in a way that once we progress in this, storyline of the minor arcana and the cups, it's basically allowing us this emotional growth and maturity through the wisdom of why we're ultimately here on earth, is to experience these emotions, be that joy, grief, pain, anger, sorrow, suffering, excitement, bliss. All of these things are allowed for us to experience and grow through while we're here as humans. Our soul really wants these experiences and craves them. But so for the energy ahead, I would say that maybe we have this aspect of really taking stock of the relationships that we have around us and what those look like to us. Are we in alignment? Are we choosing our partnerships wisely, be that in work, love, in friendships. It's okay to reassess sometimes, and it's okay to be in this time period of contemplation. And maybe it's okay to be in a slower process through this. I know it feels like we're not always able to assimilate all of the emotions at the exact time when things are happening. So it's giving yourself that momentary to, like, again, the relationship with yourself first matters, is allowing that process. As it is reversed, in my mind, it's a much more internal process of this relationship with yourself, and then that plays out in how it is viewed externally in your environment for other people. All right, so we have challenges. The Fool. All right, we are in the process of starting a new journey, right? So I had mentioned with the Venus and the Mars like reset that's happening in Capricorn right now, with the Sun, with Mercury. This is a lot of energy. These planets, are all co-joining together in these signs, and these are the personal planets, right? So it's a new personal story for you. As much as the outer planets are shifting, that's a collective shift for all of us, right? But all of these internal personal planets are creating these new storylines for us in this sense that are going to be playing out. So this is a new journey. This is a new start. It's maybe not there yet, right? So in reverse position, it's close, but almost. And we are being prepared for this in this sense, right? So it's kind of like this foreshadowing that's happening. And by the time that Venus and Mars are going to be like shifting into, Aquarius and meeting up with Pluto there, this is like, in my previous reading, like this death and rebirth process that are going to be starting to happen, right? So this is like laying the groundwork and the stage for this energy that's allowing you to kind of slowly look at every layer of your life in this sense of like, does it stay? Do I stay? Do I go? Like, what stays with you? What is meant to be left behind? The Fool really is about the journey of, how we look at all of the different experiences in life. It's the very first card. It's the major arcana card. So it's about this new journey. She's literally looking out over a cliff, ready to start. She's absolutely willing to jump off and go down to earth and experience this new storyline, this new energy, this new it's beautiful here. We have the flower of life patterning, which is the artistry in all of this Light Seers with Chris Ann is absolutely gorgeous. And so she's holding out in trust and wanting to start something new for herself, or himself. And so this is the energy of new beginnings. This is the energy of fresh starts. This is the energy of all of that that's coming in. And so as you get new opportunities, as you get new things coming in, the challenge is going to be, how are we going to view that for ourselves? Is this in alignment with where we want to head? And it's going to be this reevaluation process that we're going through. What other challenges for the energies of the week ahead? Because we might not see it happen yet, and we might be second guessing certain things. Nine of Pentacles. We have our, Pentacles speak to the element of earth. And so we have the numerology of 9 here, which is about endings and completions. And that's what we just went through with the 9-year going into the 1 year. It's interesting to see that here. So what's being cultivated in this card is this card holds the energy of independence, of material abundance in that independence, of self-mastery of that, in a similar way that the Queen does. But it holds this position of self-abundance in mastery through the ability that you don't need anyone else to complete that, right? So we're all, in this sense, evaluating this new storyline around who we are partnering with, we have the ability and the challenges to see that we ourselves, without anyone else, have this ability of self-sustainability. Pentacles speak to career, to money, to abundance, to all of these things that are happening in our lives that we need in order to create that kind of foundational stability while we're here on earth, right? We need a job. We need to pay our bills. We need to purchase food. We need all of this. And in this sense, we can't always be in this dreamy space. We have to come down and like root ourselves in this better foundation. It's a beautiful card about that kind of need to find a perfect balance in this sense that allows for the next card, which is generational wealth, right? You're setting yourself up for success that's going to then provide that success for everyone else around you. If you can't create that for yourself, how can you create that for others, right? So it's that sense of you're there, you're getting there. That's what you're ultimately the goal in trying to achieve for this. All right, what is some advice, Spirit, for the week ahead? Justice. Woof. I love this. With all of I immediately think of the incident that's happened with the woman Renee and ICE and everything that happened this week. And, as far as my community and my circle of women, we look at something like this with great grief and anger at the same time and think, what could we have? I want us to look at justice in this particular sense, right? She's holding the sword of truth. There's something about this situation that leads all of us into this feeling of that wasn't fair. This is not right. Like what is happening around us needs to stop. And this feeling of lack of control in that is a hard thing as someone who's really empathic to kind of work through, right? We all viscerally feel that like pain and sorrow and grief that happens when something like this occurs in our environment around us, especially if it happened close to you, right? It feels much more personal. So justice is about reevaluating that balance, right? We have two bowls here and two bowls here, both upside down in an interesting reflection of the same energy. The advice is to weigh this situation emotionally and understand that karma is real, guys, right? What you put out, you do receive back in a certain sense. So in this energy of wanting kind of this righteous justice for things that are happening around us is a valid emotion, but we can't always hold that within us in the same way that we need to be able to provide a balance of our emotions too. Like we can't hold all of the sorrows of the world. Like we're not meant to do that alone, right? It's better together when we're in this as a group, right? We're as women, we are more empowered as a collective together than we are just a single individual. And maybe this is a call to that, right? So I feel like the advice for us is to remain balanced enough to look within in these sorts of really tricky situations that are holding us kind of hostage emotionally, and being willing to cut away the emotions that aren't going to be able to be we cannot fix it all, right? We cannot hold ourselves in this position where we are responsible for the weight of the world. We are responsible, however, for ourselves. And so during these times, like what we can control, it's like the serenity prayer. I I love going back to this. It's very personal for me. After going through, years of, um, it's a long story, but during my time in rehab, we would basically have gratitude lists every night, and the serenity prayer of, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. To me, that is this card, the wisdom that justice has to know the difference, because I guarantee you karma is real and you are not responsible for enforcing it. Trust that process. It will happen in the time frame that it's meant to. Okay, what else, Spirit? Again, we've got major arcana cards. We've got a lot happening here. The Tower again. It's been coming up a lot. It's certainly a call again to be aware that the energy around us is meant to kind of give us the sense of you have to realign. You have to understand that this card speaks to the energy of, again, upheaval, of, things being hit, and this need to replow the soil after the harvest in order to upend it, to aerate it, to let light in, right? So when it looks like destruction, it looks like that, but at the same time, it allows things to be loosened in order to resettle in a better way that's healthier, right? So this card really speaks to that kind of energy. And the unsettling events, the things that are happening around us, are meant to jolt us out of our comfort zone. They're meant to make us look at it. They're meant to make us, be in a discomfort for a reason that allows us this need to shift. And if we're not in an alignment, the shift is very jolting. If we are more and more into alignment, it really helps us kind of settle back down into a new story, a new energy that feels a little bit more aligned, even if we can't quite see it in the moment, right? What else is coming? Last and final. Thank you. Thank you. We have Temperance. We have number 14. I love this card as a balancing. We have a lot of interesting energy here as I look at it as a whole, right? So as a full reading, Temperance really speaks to the alchemy of this shadow work that we're just talking about, right? Between Justice and the Tower. These are all major arcana cards here, and they really speak to this light and dark, right? We have the mirroring effect here. We have the upheaval here. We have the moon and the sun here. He's the energy of holding both at the same time. It's this duality that we see in the twos as well. This understanding that as we look at both sides of the same coin, we're allowed to see that it's the same storyline. We can choose either the shadow or the light aspect of it, and how we remember what we've gone through, right? That is within our control. We might not be able to control what happens to us all the time, but we can control how we perceive it and how we choose to be the hero of that story instead of the victim, right? So that's the alchemy that happens within those moments. This balance, this rebalancing of the story, he's got the angel and the light behind him, right? So it's this perception that the shadow is just as important in the realization of what you've been through, and holding that grief along with seeing the silver linings. And this is something I'm going to be talking about as much as I can, because I think that it is in that process that we're allowed more growth and more ability to see how all of this plays out. So I feel that when we're looking at the week and the energy ahead, we're going to be asked to rebalance ourselves in some way, right? We're looking at new relationships first within ourselves, and that relationship is the most important, and how that is expressed outwardly through our relationships as well. There are new storylines coming in. There's new opportunities of sustainability and structure. They're going to challenge us to how well are we going to cut the things out of our life that no longer serve us. She's got the sword of truth, and it might look messy, but at the end of the day, like, it's going to rebalance us in some way. I have one or two more cards. I want one more. I'm using another deck. This is the Earth Woman deck. All right, Spirit, what? Sorry, 1 second. We had one flip out and drop on the floor. 6 of Swords is what came out. This card, again, is a beautiful card. Swords speak to the element of air, to our, to our thoughts, our words, our beliefs. And we, in the same way that, she's in this boat and she's got swords with her, and 6 swords is like a completion energy of some kind that rebalances us, like we're talking about, and all the even numbers 2, 4, and 6. But we have this ability to move past a particular storyline that's no longer serving us, right? So in the similar energy of the 10 of Swords, it's like, that's the completion of this. This is the realization of, oh, I don't have to stay in this energy. I can move on. This is that realization. This is that, oh, I could leave this. I don't have to stay with this. I don't have to keep putting myself through this anymore, right? This belief that we had to be there in that victim mindset is gone at this point. This is beautiful especially in clarity to this Temperance, right? We're moving past something now. I think this is a really beautiful card, just with all of its color, the orange, the red, the sunset, the ability to, like, the sun is setting on a particular energy that it's no longer aligning with you, right? So this is all about the energy of realignment. I'm going to pull an oracle card. I'm going to use the Ancient Stones by Rebecca Campbell. I love her work. If you haven't checked her out, I recommend her books as well. These are beautiful cards about how we might need to be grounding ourselves during this process. We've still got the energies, and these planets are a lot of water and earth right now. So we've got quite a bit of water seen here and earth seen here. I think that there's an aspect to the energy ahead that we're going to need to find a way to ground ourselves. All right. What, Spirit, how do we need to ground ourselves in the upcoming week ahead? This card says, be the mountain. All right. Well, that's pretty direct. It's slow and steady, foundations and patience, right? This feels very Capricornian energy to me. That makes me smile, actually. Stones are really, like, I love holding my crystals. As you can see, I've got them all over my house. And so when we look at being the rock, being the foundation, making sure that your foundation is built upon things that are steady and very, very solid is going to be an important part of this. Mountains symbolize inner strength and solidarity. We've long been captivated by the mountains, perhaps because of their sheer size and scale. Many mountain ranges are visible from space. because they represent wide, strong foundations while also reaching ever skyward. Those who reach the summits of mountains find their way above the clouds and can see farther than ever before, gaining new perspectives the higher they go. The thing about mountains is that without those strong, wide foundations, the heights would never be reached. So this is a call to us to build deeper foundations so that we can reach a higher perspective ultimately. The Be the Mountain card is a reminder to go slow and steady with your goals, right? We were talking about how fast this energy is going to be coming in, and this call to like be a little bit more discerning with that. So this is also like going inward and like being able to do that. A reminder that no matter how harsh the wind blows, oh my gosh, the wind is blowing so hard right now while I'm filming this, here in SoCal or where I'm at. Nothing can knock you off the center because you draw your strength from within. And that's this card. Absolutely. The shape of a mountain represents a triangle, and the equilateral triangle is definitely the strongest shape there is. No matter how much pressure you put on its sides, it cannot be broken. This is my son's favorite shape. He loves the triangle. He's like obsessed with the Triforce. And I remind him of this all the time, that it's the strongest shape because it cannot be broken. It draws its strength from within. The speed of our soul and our will can cause us to push ourselves for longer than is sustainable. Isn't that the truth? The ancient stones have been here since the beginning, and they're always urging us to slow down to the speed of Earth. The essence of the message here is to slow down so that ultimately you will be able to speed up when the energy is ready. I think that's a fantastic message that I know I needed to hear. I hope it resonated with you. I think I will leave this here. I hope that you guys have a safe and blessed week ahead. Allow your grief to pass through you if that is in your storyline right now. I feel like there's an aspect of everything that we're going through collectively that's like helping us purge, so that we can reground, realign, so that when things are going to come in, and they're going to come in fast here, we're still in the shedding, right? We're not there yet, guys. That's why we've got these in reversed, all of them, right? We're not there yet. We are being prepared for this. We're in a chrysalis. We're in that cocoon. Trust that the timing of all of this is going to match wherever you're meant to head. And I will say that the better you can trust your intuitive process with that, the faster and the higher you will go. All right. Many blessings, love and light. I will see you next time. And if you click the link more button below, please like and subscribe. And until next time, love and light. Thanks.